What is up, guys? Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, we're just hanging out. We're going to probably do a 30-minute video tonight of just, questions from the chat room. We'll cover over the news and the player news and reports that you guys need for tomorrow. I'm also going to go live tomorrow morning. I think we're going to do 10:30 Central Time. That's 90 minutes before kickoff tomorrow. Good evening to Justin. Do we think George Kittle plays? It's very interesting. He did get the practice participation that you wanted to see on Friday, but he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. So for me, I want to see at least two practices out of my guy if he's going to play. But I do think we'll hop into a screen share here. I do think Kittle has a chance to play. He's probably going to be going through warmups. And I can't remember what time. They play at tomorrow. I believe it's a late game. So you're gonna, if you want to hold out for Kittle, you have to make sure you have someone that you could whip in there just in case. But they're probably gonna test him out pregame warmups tomorrow, so you gotta make sure you have a handcuff just in case he can't go. That's what I would say. So Kittle, again, probably more. I think he's more doubtful than probable here. So monitor those reports. The Colts are interesting. Michael Pittman Jr. ruled out today, of course. Here he didn't practice Thursday or Friday. He practiced Wednesday, had something that went, something didn't feel right, and then they've held him out Thursday, Friday. And then for them to rule him out today, like to not even let him warm up, I thought that was kind of interesting for tomorrow. So this might be something we monitor next week as well. So Pittman Jr. is out. And then as far as the Colts, like obviously you're starting Jonathan Taylor. And I personally believe Nyheim Hines is the guy that you want to get in your lineups this week in PPR leagues, whether that's a DraftKings lineup or if you decided, to whip someone out there in the flex. I think Nyheim Hines last week, Nyheim Hines himself, he did pretty decently. I thought he had about like 11 points maybe. He ended up with 11.4 points. So last week, Nyheim Hines, only 4 yards on the ground, but he went 6 for 50 through the air. So that's where your 11 points come from. Other Indianapolis Colts that I'd be open to playing, if you wanted to look at the Colts, Paris Campbell is their number 2 receiver technically. Ashton Dulin is a fun big play receiver. He actually went 3 for 46 last week on 6 targets. So I think Dulin's kind of the sneaky play. I think more people are going to offer up Paris Campbell, who also played decently, 3 for 37 and 4 targets last week. So those two are the interesting names here. Maybe you see Mike Strawn play a little bit more. And then at the tight end position, like Kylan Granson, 7 targets last week, 3 for 22. He ran more routes than Mo Alie-Cox. So here it is. So Granson had 51 total snaps, and I believe Mo Alie-Cox played 50. And then the route distribution was Granson ran 30 routes, Mo Alie-Cox only 20 routes. So maybe both guys are more involved tomorrow here, but it's looking like just JT and Hines for me are the only guys I really want to get in my lineup. Good evening to Harris. Do I pick up Zay Jones or Sterling or just get Minnesota defense versus Lions or Giants versus Cowboys? I think that Minnesota defense is a sneaky stash. I'm not sure who they play going forward. Are they worth a potential multi-week hold here? Let me see. Vikings schedule. Let's look here. So they're going to play the Lions and the Saints, and then they get the Bears. So you might be able to get some usage if you hold on to them. I don't mind. I don't think you're going to start Zay Jones or Sterling Shepard on that team. So I think getting a defense makes a lot of sense to stash. Do you want to play Gabriel Davis this week? So Gabriel Davis is interesting because he popped up on today's report. So again, when a team plays on Monday, they're going to be putting out practice reports for Saturday. So Gabe Davis, the fact that he was limited makes me not too worried yet. If he was a DNP, I'd be more concerned. But I think we're still going to get maybe practice reports tomorrow. I'm not sure. The trick is if you have Gabe Davis, you want to make sure you have someone in your back pocket. If you have the roster space, maybe you go snag an Isaiah McKenzie just in case. Maybe you pick up a Zach Moss if you want to get a piece of that Buffalo Bills offense. I think McKenzie or Moss are two guys here who are both McKenzie's 15% rostered and Moss is 4%. Even Jamison Crowder would get boosted here. So like any of those guys would be a good stash in case Gabe can't go. Or if you just want to collect your points on Sunday, I think that's an interesting option as well. And some of the other teams that play on Monday night, if you wanted to potentially add, I like Kyle Phillips a lot. He had 10.6 PPR points last week, a team high 9 targets, 6 for 66. I would think the Titans are gonna have to throw the ball more than they are comfortable with. So he had a shoulder thing that he missed practice the other day, but he's logged 2 straight practices. So I think Kyle Phillips wouldn't be a bad replacement if you wanted to just snag him and wait out Gabe Davis again. He did not practice Thursday, but Friday, Saturday limited. So that's an option for you on Monday night. Who do you think I can get for Austin Eckler in a non PPR? So that one's tough because that's his least valuable format, unfortunately. Let me look around here real quick. I want to filter by percent rostered. So he's technically one of the top owned running backs here at 99.9%. And I'm trying to think here in terms of points per game. I mean, he's got 9 points, about 9 points last week and about 7 the week before. So 7 and 9 points. That's a RB2 status. So if I kind of go down here and I just look around in this range, I mean, you could maybe flip him for Javonte Williams, maybe see how the Aaron Jones owner is feeling. I don't know if you'd be able to get him for Nick Chubb, but I would start by looking at some of these guys here, whether it's Chubb, Jones, Connor, Javonte. Some of those guys might be interesting. And I don't know if I would go any lower than that right now. I mean, in a non-PPR, if you wanted to just collect A.J. Dillon, I think A.J. Dillon's going to be a guy who gets a lot of volume in action going forward. So guys like that. So I was looking at basically Jones, Connor, Javonte. Probably stay away from Zeke, Montgomery, Jacobs. Maybe the Gibson owner, but I think Brian Robinson's coming back soon. And then I saw this one. This one's interesting. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire a sell high candidate or a hold? I mean, he's been pretty dynamite 2 for 2 in two games. He gets 3 for 32 and 2 touchdowns week 1, 4 for 44 as a receiver in week 2, and then about 7 to 8 carries per game. So, I mean, this feels kind of like a floor activity here where he should have a good chance to hit double digits every week. If this is in a PPR league, I don't mind holding. If it's a non-PPR league, you could potentially move him. But again, this is probably a chance to sell high. I think if you could cash in on, I mean, if you could flip him for Aaron Jones, I think I would do that. You got to basically look at someone who has been underperforming, for the first week here. So Aaron Jones is a guy. If you could flip him for Jones, I'm open to that. Flip him for Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon's an interesting option. And again, it's tough to say. Is it PPR or non-PPR, Harris? That would help me a lot. Good evening to Aiden. Good evening to the Hammy. Do I put in A.J. Dillon or J.K. Dobbins? You already know the answer, Aiden. You already know the answer. I'm optimistic that Dobbins plays tomorrow. I'm not willing to run him out there for 20 snaps and 8 carries and maybe 1 target. I think your safe play is A.J. Dillon against the Bears at home. Take the A.J. Dillon points and let J.K. Dobbins impress us on our bench. Next week, going up against New England, if Dobbins comes out clean in this game, I think then you can think about Dobbins the following week. But for this week, I think you got to take A.J. Dillon going up against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. And yeah, man, the Colts, man, on the ropes already here. They're after the embarrassing tie against the Texans, and now they get some trouble. Aiden says, get Zay. Good evening to Ryan. Hope you're doing well. What's the ceiling floor for Hollywood this week? So I like Marquise Brown quite a bit this week. I just want to see what he's projected. He's projected 13.7 in PPR formats here. And I mean, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, we saw last week. Let me actually go to this. Let's go to the fantasy points allowed here. So last week, the going up against the Chargers, the Raiders. I'm looking at this here. This week, the Cardinals are going up against the Raiders. So the Raiders, they allowed a lot of fantasy points last week, but they're kind of coolest to the wide receiver, and we saw Justin Herbert really spread it out to the wide receivers. I mean, where's Las Vegas? So they allowed 12 receptions, 145 yards, and 1 score. But the good news for a guy like Marquise Brown is he's the clear number 1 target. So I'm feeling really pretty good about this. Last week, what did he have? I mean, he had 6 targets last week. I feel strongly about him getting more, probably in the 7 or 8 target range this week. Probably 4 or 5 catches, and I would hope that they get, maybe we get a deep ball to him. So I'm going to say something like 5 for 80 and a touchdown is the ceiling. As far as the floor, I think you're looking at probably a 4 for 40 without a touchdown. So it's probably like an 8 to 10 point floor with a strong potential for maybe a 20-25 point game going up against the Raiders. So I like Marquise Brown. That's a good play this week. You think I could get Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Austin Eckler for JT non-PPR? I can get you could try. I mean, I think uh, this might be your last opportunity. Like, you have to do it tonight or tomorrow because JT is about to go off tomorrow against the Jags. So it might be tough, but if you could cash in Clyde and Austin Eckler for JT, I think I'm willing to do that. In a non-PPR league, like, JT likely outscores both most weeks. So go ahead and give it a try. Should I play Kareem Hunt instead of Gabe Davis since Davis is injured non-PPR? I'm actually cool with that because Kareem Hunt, I mean, they're going up against the Jets tomorrow. They should have a pretty nice day. Kareem Hunt is projected a healthy. He's about an 11.5 points here in full PPR. But even if we take away his 2 touchdowns last week, he still contributed about 70 yards. So if you're just like, I'm going to collect my 70, 80 yards in a non-PPR, I think I'm cool with that. That's, a healthy 7 to 8 point floor. Carolina's defense is probably a little bit better than the Jets rush defense. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play Kareem Hunt if you're okay with that. And again, he's always got the opportunity to get one of those touchdowns. I don't know why A.J. Dillon worries you. He does not worry me. Going up against the Bears, I think A.J. Dillon is a very, very strong play. Let me look and see what I just want to look at his history and see what he did last year against the Chicago Bears. Last year against the Bears, 11 for 59. And again, that was earlier in the season. No catches in that game. That's an outlier, I think. And then 71 rushing yards against them. That's kind of his floor. He's probably looking at a minimum 70 yards. And this year, I know they're going to throw the ball to him. So I like Dillon, much safer floor. Gabe Davis, Lazard, Hines, and PPR, and Everett already dropped 14. I think you want. Alan Lazard is definitely interesting. If you can hold out hope for Gabe Davis, he's the best play for me. Like, I really like Gabe Davis on Monday. If you can find a way to stash an Isaiah McKenzie or Jamison Crowder just in case, I think you want to hold out hope for Gabe. And keep in mind, like, he was limited in practice today. So, like, it's not like he missed a practice or anything. So I still think Gabe Davis goes. Otherwise, the safest play out of them is you could just collect your 12 points from Nyheim Hines and call it a day. He might even be the team's leading receiver. I could see 6-7 catches, maybe 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. So I think Hines is the safest in full PPR, and he could probably match that Everett 14. I don't see this. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be one of the top scoring backs tomorrow. Lazard sounds good to go. I believe everything looked good. Let me double check the reports here. Where was it? Link to practice reports. So Alan Lazard, I believe he was limited all week here. Limited, and limited. That's no setbacks. I would say he's probable for Sunday Night Football. So we're going to want to get him in our lineups if we can. I'm in St. Brown or Chase Edmonds. Non-PPR? Non-PPR, I think you got to go. Chase Edmonds is interesting. It's a tougher matchup going up against the Baltimore Ravens. I think I'm going to lean with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Christian Kirk took advantage of the slot role last week against the Washington Commanders. So I'm going to roll with St. Brown. I think he's safe for another 70, 80 yards and a pretty good chance at a touchdown. So I think that's where I'll stay. Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Allen Robinson's season starts tomorrow. I'm hopeful for it. Jameis Winston in the Saints passing team or passing offense, they were all kind of able to eat. So I'm hoping, Landry ate in the slot and Michael Thomas did some things outside. So I think there's room for Kupp and A-Rob tomorrow. Just drop Drake from McKenna. I like that. That's a good spot, Aiden. So I lost Pittman. I need an RB2 and a flex. Full PPR. We got ETN, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Hendo, Paris Campbell, Ramondre, and Landry. So you need an RB2. You're going to play Darrell Henderson. Henderson is set up again to be the lead back. I think potential for more Cam Akers this week here, but I still got to think if they get near the goal line, Henderson has a good chance at punching one in. So I'm going to say Hendo for the RB2. And then the flex, I think ETN, Kareem Hunt, Landry, those are probably the 3 names that I'm looking at here. I feel kind of good about Travis Etienne tomorrow because no Shaq Leonard. That should be a nice matchup for him. But it's probably Jarvis Landry at home against the Bucks. Last week, Jarvis Landry was pretty dominant in the slot, and I think Landry presents a pretty good, reliable target for Jameis Winston. He's going to continue to throw his way. I'm just looking for the Jarvis Landry projection here. 1 second. So last week, Jarvis Landry goes off for 18.4 points, 7 for 114 on 9 targets. I mean, if he's going to collect another 7 to 10 targets this game, I feel pretty strongly about him being good. It looks like his projection is, about a 9 to 10 point floor. So I feel safe with Landry. Otherwise, I'm going to rank them probably Landry, Hunt, ETN for your flex. I think he's going to play. Yeah, we're going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do you think it's going to be high scoring? I do not think it's going to be high scoring. I think this Buccaneer game. First of all, the Bucks offensive line is missing a lot of key players. If I go to look at the practice report for Tampa Bay, so they already ruled out Godwin, of course. That one of their starting tackles is probably doubtful here, and Donovan Smith. And then you got a bunch of, all the receivers are pretty much banged up. I think Evans, Gage, and Julio are good to go, but they all missed time this week. You got Tristan Wirfs, who's questionable. We'll see about him. I'm nervous about the Bucks protecting Tom Brady tomorrow. So let me look real quick here. What's going on here on the DK Sportsbook? So this one's I still don't know how Tampa Bay's favored to win by 2.5 on the road here, about 44 implied in this one. So I think it's going to be low scoring, something, maybe first team to 20 wins. Essentially, it's probably maybe a 20 to 17 type game. Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We love Darrell Henderson tomorrow. One thing I like looking at too is you go into the DK Sportsbook and you can actually take a peek at some of the rushing props. I mean, they got Hendo at about 90 or about 60 rushing yards. They also got him at about 18.5 receiving yards. So basically almost 80 total all-purpose yards. And then they're giving him the over on 2.5 receptions. So basically 3 catches. So I think Henderson's going to be very, very busy tomorrow. Pretty nice day coming for him. I have A-Rob as well. Do you think him and Henderson are a good play? Yes, I think both are a good play. With Allen Robinson, they have him. People are taking the over on him going over 50 yards right now. So, but maybe his floor is 50 yards tomorrow, and people are taking the under on his 4.5 receptions. So maybe something like 4 for 50 sounds about right. If you're cool with that floor, I would say go for it. It sounds like Higgins is good to go, man. You're gonna be safe, I think, with Higgins. What's the stat line for Michael Carter and Curtis Samuel? Let's take a look at that. Michael Carter for the New York Jets. Did I miss it? There we go. So with Michael Carter, they have him at about 40 yards rushing, and people are kind of split on that one. So give him 40 yards on the ground. And then as a receiver, they got him only at 20. So they're giving him 60 all-purpose yards, which is fine. What about these receptions? And they're taking the over on 2.5 receptions. So call it 3. So that's going to be roughly 60 yards as a floor and maybe 3 catches. So in a PPR league, that's 9-10 points. I think that's safe. Let's look at Curtis Samuel, though, here. I'm excited about the Commanders-Lions game tomorrow. I hope this one's kind of a PPR fantasy bonanza. Curtis Samuel, they got him at 41.5 yards. I think I'm taking the over on that. And they have him at people are hitting the over on 3.5 receptions. So basically 4 for 42 is his floor. And they don't even have him listed in there for any rushing totals, which is interesting to me because last week, Samuel was busy last week. He saw a team high 11 targets. He had 4 carries on the ground for 17 yards. So, I think he's a 70 to 80 yard play tomorrow. Good chance at a touchdown, maybe a 50% chance at a touchdown, and hopefully he can rack up those PPR catches. Let's see here. Pick one PPR: Curtis Sammy, Lazard, Carter, Pierce, or Damian Harris. I already had. I think this one's pretty safe for me. This one's Curtis Samuel. Again, we just looked at his numbers. He 11 targets last week and 4 carries. Like that's 15 designed, plays for him. I think there's a clear intention to get Curtis Samuel involved. And I did see something too in his last handful of games where he's been healthy. I think the number was when he played over 40% of the snaps, he's been a good play. So I don't think you can count 2021, but going back here, 2022, he gets a ton of points here to start week one. 2021, again, he was injured last year, so we're not counting those numbers. But going back, like his 2020 season, when he was with the Panthers, like they used the hell out of him here. So I think big numbers for Curtis Samuel coming this year. He should have been one of the best pickups off the waiver wire. I think you're good with Mike Evans. He made us a little nervous earlier this week, but again, limited on Wednesday, did not practice Thursday. The fact that he got in on Friday should mean he's good to go. I do like Stevenson this week. I like Ramondre Stevenson this week. I was looking at something here. Let me see on Twitter. What did I just look at? Let's see here. Where is that tweet? Here we go from Nathan Yonke at PFF. So the Patriots didn't elevate a practice squad running back, leaving them with Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, and Pierre Strong, who isn't 100% tomorrow. So I think it's a Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson game. And if you think about last week, the Steelers did allow, I mean, they allowed Joe Mixon to have a decent day. And what's crazy here is, I mean, Mixon put up numbers without a touchdown. 27 carries for 82 yards. So, like, stout against the run, the Steelers remain, but 7 for 63 as a pass catcher. Maybe you see, Harris and Stevenson kind of split those numbers. So, I do like Stevenson this week. He's still a little bit of a dice roll. I think if you had to play one, it's probably Damien Harris. But in Harris's question here, I'm taking. I would rank them Curtis Samuel or Michael Carter. Those are the top two guys in full PPR. So I would kind of stick with that. And then back to Hammy's question here. I do like Ramondre, but I think Henderson is one of the clear top plays of the week. If I just filter by projections here, they have Henderson as he's up here between Najee Harris, just underneath Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. So he's the clear safe play. And then with Landry, if you want to play it safe, I like Landry. Otherwise, if you want it to be a little risky, I don't hate Stevenson there. Thoughts on Saints money line tomorrow? I think you take it, man. I think the easiest thing to take is the Saints to cover 2.5. I think Saints are going to be competitive in this game, and they're giving you 2.5, which is minus 110. But if you want to take the money line, I'm cool with that too. I do not feel strongly either way here. The Panthers did not play well last week. Baker Mayfield's first game on the road here. I do think the Panthers could. I think the Panthers will cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers win this game tomorrow. I think they're going to see a lot of Christian McCaffrey tomorrow. Are the Falcons going to be a hard matchup for Heno? And do you think Akers could take a lot of snaps, or do you think he's going to be a lot like last week? I don't think it's going to be exactly like last week. Let me actually pull up that number from last week. Let's go to the PFF takeaways here. Do they have Thursday night on here? Rams snap counts. I want to look at this. So last week on offense, it was 55 snaps for Hendo, 12 for Cam Akers. I think you can maybe see more of maybe it's 70-30 this week, but that's still not enough to make me nervous about it. I think Atlanta, let's look at the fantasy points allowed to position. The Falcons, so keep in mind, Alvin Kamara kind of got hurt last week, so the Falcons didn't yield a ton of points to the running back, but they still allowed 61 yards on the ground, 4 receptions, 8 yards. So it looked like a tough matchup on paper, but they kind of limited Alvin Kamara because he had the rib injury. And let's be real here, the Falcons don't really have or the Saints don't really have a good number 2 back. But keep in mind, Taysom Hill had those big runs. They did allow a rushing touchdown to Taysom Hill. So I think some of those numbers and problems are kind of masked here from Atlanta. So I'm not too concerned. I think Hendo, a good option off the bench to hit his floor. And let's just look at this. So again, 13 for 47 and 5 for 26. Now keep in mind, this was a blowout loss. I think as 10-point favorites, you're probably looking at these numbers again as a safe floor here for him, and he probably does have a pretty good chance at a touchdown. So I'm cool with Hendo. Oh, thoughts on Najee total yards? I don't like it. Let me look and see what they got him at. I think Najee should probably, if I was Najee Harris, or if I was in charge of the Steelers, I would make Najee sit for a week here. So they got him at 50.5 rushing yards. They have him at 13.5 receiving yards. His total over under 68.5. 70 total yards in this one. Let's see. What did he do last week? He ended up with 23 and 3. We're taking the under on Najee Harris total yards. 27 out of Kelsey and Mahomes isn't enough, Justin. Has he recapped the last week's results? We can open that up here. Actually, I have the league open here. This is the Fellowship Free League. It looks like I'm playing my good friend Matt Boehm. I had the big Mike Williams for 25.3. So this is my, let's see, I think my dad took this team over. This was the auto-drafted team here that ended up beating me, so not cool. Matt Boehm loses to the returning champion, 128 to 119. He outscored the Jefferson-Kirk Cousins duo here with strong games from Pittman, Mixon, and Baker Mayfield coming in. So the zero QB approach turned out pretty nice here. Justin takes out Ketchup and Mostert, 116 to 95. Low-scoring game for the scoring format here, but the Mahomes-Kelsey connection looking pretty strong. Looks like this is my brother's team taking out Marietta, 148 to 82. So not a great game for this team. I'm not sure what happened in the box score. We have Team Cornelison taking out Fantasy Goods here, 128-114. Murray, Evans, and Tyreek Hill here. Saquon Barkley is back, though, guys, so that's great news. And then Moeller's over Aiden's team here. Aiden had a good team, but Cooper Kupp, man, Kareem Hunt. The zero RBs of Kareem Hunt and Cordero Patterson, a little bit too much to handle here. Najee's good to go. Najee's good to go. Yes, sir. Good luck to everybody tomorrow. Do I drop Madison for Curtis Samuel and then play him instead of Mike Evans? I mean, I think Curtis Samuel should be owned. If it's a full PPR league, Curtis Samuel should be owned. I personally, I kind of hate holding on to handcuffs. I'd rather have role players like guys like Naheem Hines or J.D. McKissick, guys that actually can get touches in a weekly basis. I mean, even like I technically think Zach Moss is a better hold. Like, I'd rather own Zach Moss than Alexander Madison because he has a weekly role. I mean, 6 for 15 as a rusher is not great, but he was involved in the passing game. And if anything happens to Singletary, there you go. You have a handcuff who has a weekly role. So, like, to me, there's always running backs like that are better than Alexander Madison. And then I don't hate playing Curtis Samuel over Mike Evans because Evans does not play great against the New Orleans Saints here. Bucs offensive line's dinged up. I think I could play Curtis Samuel over Mike Evans. Yeah, full PPR, I don't mind it. Yeah, Pittman would have been a nice smash spot here. Cincy -7 seems to be free. The one thing I keep coming back to is Cooper Rush looked pretty good in his one start last year. He did beat the Vikings last year. And I'm too torn because part of me still remembers the Giants teams from the past here, but I'm open to them being more competent. What's going on with Kadarius Toney? Like, what did he do to Brian Daboll? Winston passing yards are free. What is JMO at? I mean, if Alvin Kamara is going to play tomorrow, even if he's limited, you're probably looking at the Bucs having to pass the ball a lot. So yeah, I like Winston over 234.5. I think that's a good call, Aiden. Pittman's out. He's out. Yeah. I feel like the Steelers are lying about Najee's health and him being okay to go this week. I thought it was interesting that like on Wednesday he's like, yeah, I'm playing, and I'm just like, okay, we'll see. But he was able to practice with no injury designation on Friday, so I mean. I think he's going to play. Just how good he plays, we'll see. Yeah, the auto damn team. Yeah, the auto team, man. Akers, Pitts, and Sky Moore ducked me. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be getting out of here in a minute or two. Get your final questions in if you got them. I think, again, tomorrow I'm going to go live 90 minutes before kickoff. So whatever time zone you're in, for me, that's 10:30 p.m. or 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So if you guys want to hang out tomorrow morning with me, have some coffee, do whatever you got to do in the morning, we'll do that. And I'm just excited, man. I think there's a lot of good games tomorrow night. My Packers are playing on Sunday Night Football. Let's hope they don't embarrass themselves this time. So we'll see. But anyways, if you guys have any more questions, just put them in the comments. Find me on Twitter, whatever you need. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Peace.